Welcome back, amazing parents. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with some young moms, and the first thing I want to say is I really love this generation of parents. I love the way that they're intuitive about their children, and they notice when things can be better, that they can parent in a more positive way. I think that intuition is something that has gained heightened awareness in this day and age, which is great because our intuition will never fail us. I know as a young mom that every time I felt something wasn't right inside, it was always accurate. So I just want to say kudos to this young generation of moms for being in touch with your intuition and listening. So the question came up yesterday: how can I engage my child's cooperation using positive language? And I'm all about that. You know, the way we speak to our kids is creating the way that they communicate in the future, but also it's shaping their self-image and doing a lot more than that. It's creating sense of responsibility and value and teaching them that they have power. We want to empower our kids to make choices that are helpful rather than overpowering them and forcing them to comply, which doesn't serve them now or in the long run, doesn't create a fluid relationship or a relationship at all that goes back and forth. You know, it's just when you're overpowering and controlling your kids, it's a one-way street, and it's just building resentment underneath that can come out in later years as rebellion. So the question was something simple that you need to ask your child every day to do, like put on your shoes. So the mom asked me, how can I ask my child to get his shoes on without saying, I need you to? So you may not think that's a very negative statement, and it could be a lot worse for sure. But by saying, I need you to do something for me, that comes across as a demand, like you want me to do something to fulfill your need. You know, why don't you do it yourself? None of us like to feel like we're being controlled or that demands are being placed on us. We all want to be free to make our own choices, to choose what we will do with our time and to control our lives, right? So a better way to communicate that need is to say something like, let me look at my notes here. Okay, the first option would be to say, let's put on your shoes, rather than saying, I need you to put your shoes on. Now, if you have the time to help your child, then you could say, let's put your shoes on. And what that does is it sends a message that you're on their side. Kids need to know that we're on their team, that we're not the enemy, we're not the opposition. But sometimes just simple changes in our wording like that sends a powerful message. So let's get your shoes on. We're going to the store in just a minute. You know, that sends a very teamwork, I'm on your side kind of message, rather than the demanding me against you kind of message of I need you to put your shoes on. So that's option number one. Option number two would be, I love this one. And if you have more than one kid, you could use this one a lot because you have so many things to do. And even if you don't, you know, you can say something like, while I go get my shoes on, can you get your shoes on so we can leave together in a minute, or however you want to end that. Don't add too much on the end though that can distract them into something else. Like I would refrain from saying, can you get your shoes on so that we can go to the store, because then the focus may shift to where you're going and they might not want to go. So just try to keep it simple and talk about, you know, address the issue at hand. So while I do this, you do that. And what that does is it sends, again, the message that you're not just demanding something of them, that you're busy while they're busy. I remember when my son was little and he was child number 6. And so I was always doling out chores and responsibilities for them to do. And one day, he was very dutiful. He would always do, and he still does everything I ask him to do, even as an adult. He's so sweet. But one day he looked at me in his 5-year-old innocence and he said, Mom, if we do all this stuff, what do you do all day? And it was a purely innocent question. He just wanted to know. So when you say to your child, while I'm doing this, will you do that? That answers that question they all have, which they think we sit around and do nothing all day and just give them chores to do, right? So it also sends a message of value that you need their help, that you value their help, that by them doing that, it's helping, it's saving you some time and effort. So that's always really helpful. It gives them a sense of value. The third option that I would recommend always, if you're going to leave or a child is occupied in an activity that he enjoys, he's playing, he's watching TV, he's doing something he's engaged in, and you need to shift that activity and you know that what he's doing is something he wants to do, always give them a warning. This is just basic common manners. I mean, treat your kids the way you want to be treated. That's the golden rule. Why do we think our kids are exempt from the golden rule? So I would always talk to my kids the way I want to be talked to, or the way I would talk to my spouse or my best friend. And what that does is it sends, again, that message of value that you're important. I want you to know ahead of time. I respect what you're doing. So if you show respect for their time and respect for their desires, you're going to receive respect back. So these simple little language changes have powerful repercussions for the positive, to be able to instill value in your child, show them that you believe they're responsible, they can do things that are helpful, that you're on their side, and that you respect them. So those are the 3 suggestions I have. And lastly, the thing here, another thing you can do with the warning is you can say, we're leaving in 10 minutes. How much time do you think you need to get your shoes on? Now, if your child's young, they probably have no concept of how much time they need to get their shoes on. But by you saying that, you can offer some suggestions. Does 2 or 3 minutes sound good? And then they'll say, yeah, because, they don't want you to know that they don't know. And then you can say, okay, well, that gives you 5 more minutes to play. And then you can take that a step further and give them another choice, which is even more empowering. Would you like to get your shoes on now and finish playing? Or do you want to finish playing and then in 5 minutes get your shoes on? So this kind of interaction that's just basic, respectful, problem-solving activity is very, very valuable to your child to teach them life skills and how to even manage their time. And then lastly, I would say, whenever your child does do something, which is, hopefully all day long, they're doing things that you ask them to do, always say thank you. I mean, think about it. It may be something they do every day, like get their shoes on. But how valuable is it to you when you do something you do every day and your husband or your child takes the time to say, thanks for fixing dinner, Mom. I really appreciate that. So when your child gets his shoes on, go, thank you, good job, let's go. Be very positive about it and let them know that their cooperation is extremely valuable to you. And so I hope this is helpful. If you would like a question answered in a future show, just post that in the comments below and we'll get to it next time. Until then, be blessed.